everybody. If you're here, then you're definitely in the right place. Um, if you've been here before, then welcome back. And if this is your first time here, then welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Clayton. I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. And I've been clean and sober since February 21st, 2021. And we're continuing on to the next story out of the basic text called Mid-Pacific Serenity. So let's get started. He lived in a place that many call paradise, but in his story from our first edition, his beachcomber shares that for an addict, Skid Row is in the mind. Through NA, he has found a sense of peace and a new way of life. I am happy, grateful, drug addict, clean by the grace of God and the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. Life today is fulfilling and there is joy in my heart. It wasn't always this way. I drank and used drugs for 12 years on a daily basis. For 10 of them, I was an addict of the hopeless variety. It really seems to me that I was born this way. I was born and raised in Southern California in a loving middle class family. Both my sisters and I were wanted, loved children, and were shown that in every way. As far back as I can remember, I have felt separate from this family and all of our life. Of course, I am talking of an intense fear of life. I cannot remember. I can't. Crazy cat. I cannot remember feeling the simplicity of being a child. I had the addict's personality growing up. Self-will run riot. I always wanted my own way, and if I didn't get it, I sure let everyone know. Growing up in Southern California, I seemed to get into all the normal things, going to the beach, getting into sports, yet always the fear and feelings of inadequacy never let me live up to my potential. I was an average student throughout school and lots of friends, yet I withdrew. I dominated by the fear. I guess I was about 15 when I tried my first drug, alcohol. From the first drink, it was oblivion. Finally, I had found freedom from fear, or so I thought. From the beginning, I identified with the rejects, the people who slept on the beach under the piers. As I look back over these 12 years, I see how I loved each new drug I tried. Alcohol was only the beginning. If I got you loaded, I wanted to try it, and I always wanted more. It didn't matter if I was sniffing glue or shooting the best coke or heroin. I wasn't a rich, choosy addict. I just needed to stay high, and all my energy was put into that direction. I quit school in the 12th grade. Surfing had become part of my life, so it was off to Hawaii. My parents were very confused about their son who didn't do a very good job of hiding his desperation. To all who were sane and living life, I appeared very lost and unhappy. I see it was a very short time after I started using that the alcohol and drugs quit doing for me what they did in the beginning. The fear had returned, only much worse than before. My first trip to Hawaii in 1962 was only the beginning of many more to come. Always trying to run from myself, Hawaii was and is a paradise, but I only saw it through the eyes of being loaded. Thanks to the warm weather, it was easy to pursue the only life I knew. The way of life was to wander the streets and sleep in parked cars or other available shelters. At the age of 19, I was back in Hawaii for the third time, a full blown addict, and so lost and confused I only knew I had to drink and use drugs, and there was no other way. Returning to California at the end of the summer of 1963, I found myself joining the Navy, being lost, and that seemed to be the easiest thing to do. Just sign my name. It was easier than looking for a job. I was so burned out already and wanted something different, yet didn't know how to ask for help. The Navy, of course, was not the answer. The drugs continued, and after 2 years, I was discharged. The psychiatrist said my mind had heroin discipline disorder. The psychiatrist said my mind had become disordered from the use of marijuana and LSD, plus I had jumped overboard in rage at the Navy. I convinced myself that once I got out of the Navy, things would be different. No one would be telling me what to do, but I met a new friend at this point, the world of fixing. This was in 1965, and the next 6 years were the worst years of my life. As I see it today, those years got me into the program. After getting out of the Navy, I got married. How and why this woman married me is a mystery even today. On our wedding night, I shot some dope and slept on Venice Beach with my dogs. This is the type of behavior a selfish, self-centered addict has, concerned only with himself and getting loaded. The way I was able to stay loaded was by dealing, always being the middleman. The house where we lived was being watched. It was on the Venice Canal in Venice, California. My parents knew what was going on, so with my wife 4 months pregnant, they helped us get out of there, and it was back to Hawaii. We lived on the North Shore. It was a more isolated part of Oahu. Lots of young people lived there. This was the year 1967, and this time LSD was really popular, and everyone was into the spiritual thing. Eastern religion and gurus. There were two Harvard professors who were taking LSD and saying that you could find God. So I thought all that love, peace, and joy sounded good. I wanted out of the feelings that I was having. Fear dominated my life. I had been shooting a lot of speed in California the past year. I decided to clean up my life in Hawaii, so I took psychedelics, smoked hard hashish, and tried to meditate. Somewhere I had read that when the student was ready, the teacher would appear. Little did I know that that program of Narcotics Anonymous was about to be introduced to me and that it would become my teacher. I was able to stay away from shooting dope that year. My wife and I had a baby girl and were on welfare. Living in the country, it seemed I seemed to be fitting right into the movement of the time. flower children, the everything is beautiful consciousness, yet still inside everything wasn't beautiful. There was a 4 bedroom house next door to us for rent, and one day this woman appeared and told us that God had told her that she was supposed to live there. She was in her 50s and had long gray hair to her waist and wore a bikini most of the time. She had no money, but said she was led to this house. This woman seemed to radiate a feeling of love and joy that had never felt from anyone else before. Immediately upon meeting her, I felt as if I had known her forever. Something in me was drawn to her. Little did I know she was to become my sponsor and play such a big part in my life. This was beginning. Oh, sorry. This was the beginning of a journey that even today amazes me. It it is a way of life, a way of becoming complete trust in a higher power through a series of miracles which I now have come to see as quite normal to life. This woman ended up in this house with the rent paid every month. Needless to say, this house became a program house. A meeting was started at the house. It was called the Beachcombers Spiritual Program Traveling Group, and through the years it has traveled throughout the United States from Hawaii to the East Coast and through Europe, and twice always attracting the addict who still suffers, offering a way up and out. I remember my first meeting at the house in 1968. For the first time, I felt as if I really belonged. Not so much because I heard people talk of using drugs as I had, but because they spoke of what was going on inside. For the first time, I found out that other people had fears also. Yet, with all the hope this meeting brought me, it was only the beginning of a 3 year period that I would not want to live through again. Excuse me. I identified from that first meeting and wanted a new way of life. I wanted to stay clean for a short period, and then I would use again. First, I would just pick up a beer or a smoke or joint, but I would always end up shooting dope again. I wouldn't understand it then. Today I realize that I still had reservations. There was still that thought that I could use. In the year 1970, I stayed clean for 3 months, 2 different times. The last time was right before Christmas. I smoked 2 joints and went into convulsions. After that, I took 2 downs once, and that was it. For almost an entire year, I didn't know what it was to be clean again. I drank, took pills, and shot cocaine on a heroin daily. Living on the North Shore made it easy to stay out of trouble. There weren't many police in that area. I stayed loaded. My wife left, and I knew that I would never stay clean again. One time, I ran out of dope and shot several 100 milligrams of caffeine tablets and went into the shakes for hours. I seemed to be so desperate to die, although I never woke up in the gutter or on Skid Row. I woke up on the beach under a palm tree with my face in the sand and feeling feelings were the same. Skid Row is the mind. I really had sorry about this. I really had that it doesn't matter what or how much we use, where we live, or how much money we have. It's what is going on inside and counts. For me, I knew I was dying, but still couldn't stop. I'd given up on NA. Everyone I knew in the program had left. My sponsor and a group of clean addicts were in Europe, and one of the clean addicts was living on another island and would call every so often to see if I was still alive. On the morning of October 20th, 1971, I woke up with dope in the house, and for some reason, I walked out to the beach and didn't get loaded the moment I opened my eyes. I remember it was a gray, overcast day, and I was feeling hopeless. I just sat on the beach, crying, just wanted to die. I couldn't go on. A feeling a feeling went through me and I knew I never experienced before in my life. I felt warm and peaceful inside. A voice said, "It's over. You never have to use again." I felt a peace I had never felt before. I returned to the house, packed some stuff, and headed for the airport. I was going to the island of Maui. Oh, sorry about that. Um, where my clean friend was. My recovery started miracles. With miracles. I had no money yet. Oh my god. Sorry about that. I had no money yet. My recovery started with miracles. I had no money yet. I was led to the right place at the right time, and I got to Maui. I walked in and told him that I was ready to go to any lengths to stay clean. Oh my god, I can't see. Staying clean today goes a long way beyond not talking that that first fix, pill or drink. It is a way of life, a life that I will call an adventure. One moment, please. Oh man, it's got me all stuffy. Okay, we're almost finished this part. I can do it. Uh, I have an outline for living. It is the 12 steps of NA. I either practice and live these steps or I die. I really believe that person who stays clean for any amount of time is staying clean through periods when it seems to make no sense to stay clean. I feel we all have felt like that at one time or another. I've stayed clean by the grace of God. The steps have become my life. I've had to take many inventories, the fourth and fifth steps, and consume, I will continue to have to write down what is going on inside and give it away. For me, this is the way it works. Keep giving away the old and making room for the new. For me, it never gets really easy to do. Usually, I have to be backed up against the wall and humiliated, and then I share. They say that this is a program of action that you can keep keep it without giving it away. How true it is in the bright brightening in in the beginning. I thought I had to say all the right things and save everyone. Today I realize I only have what's in my heart to share. Today I can walk into a meeting, and if I am full of the Father's love, then I share it. And there are times that I walk into a meeting and want to throw the coffee pot through the window. Yet I know to stay honest, for that's the way I stay clean. I know today that staying clean and having a relationship with God as I understood Him is the most important thing in my life. When I do that and carry the message to the ones who still suffer, then all else is provided in my life. I really believe that I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I carry the message by letting the newcomer know who I am inside and sharing how I work the steps one day at a time. Since getting clean in 1971, life has been anything but boring. I have traveled all over. My sponsor was an able example of following your heart, and that whatever we went, NA was alive. Our house were always open with a coffee pot going. We started meetings wherever we arrived. Sometimes we had no money, but we went out to do our primary purpose, and God always showed us the way. My sponsor died 3 years ago, and 18 years clean. Most of the group has family now, and we're scattered around the United States, learning lessons, learning different lessons, yet NA always comes first. Today I am married and pursue different things than during the first 7 years of my recovery. Yet I know the only way I can have any outside gifts is to put this program and God first. We really have found a way up and out. And so long as we keep giving it away, no matter if it's love and joy or tears and fears, it will be alright. Today, I live because people are there who care and will listen. I really believe in magic, for my life is full of it. God is loving us now. Amen to that. You know, even in my life, God has done well. Just the fact that I'm still clean and sober today speaks for itself. Because staying clean is something I've never been able to do before. And praise God because, today I don't have the desire to use. That doesn't mean that I don't have to work every day at not picking up. But the main difference is that today I actually try and live life on life's terms. And with what I've got going on in my life today, or the things that I've started in my life today, man, I wish I would have been able to do that 20, 30 years ago. But we can't dwell on the past now, can we? We can only move forward with our future. So thank you. If you stuck throughout the whole reading, I apologize for my emotional instability. Um, I appreciate and love every one of you, and I hope you keep coming back. And hit like and subscribe, because if I can make a big community where we can stay clean together and talk to one another or share stories with one another, whatever. And let's do it together and we'll stay clean and sober together another day. Okay. Thank you. Take care, everybody.